7 months. So I meet 150 people or so at each of these events personally, and many of them have stories to tell me, and they tell me overwhelming stories, and that has a cumulative effect on you. So one kid, for example, he was in his early 20s, I would say. He came up to me and he said, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but a year and a half ago, I just got out of jail and I was homeless. I started watching your lectures. He said, I'm married, I have a daughter, and I just bought my first apartment. It's like, good work. Then I was in LA and I was outside the Orpheum Theater. It's kind of rough in downtown LA, and I was walking down the street with my wife, and this car pulled up beside us, and this kid hopped out, Latino kid, about 19 or so, and he said, are you Dr. Peterson? I said, yes. He said, oh, I'm really happy to meet you. And he shook my hand. He said, and I've been watching your lectures, and just wait a minute. And I said, okay. And then he ran back to his car and he got his dad out, and they came over, and they had their arms around each other, and they were just smiling away, you know, like with a real Duchenne smile, a real smile. And he said, I've been watching your lectures, and I've really been working on putting my relationship with my father together, and it's really worked. And so I thought, well, that's a lovely thing to have happen when you're walking through a rough neighborhood, is that some kid jumps out of his car and comes rushing over and tells you how much better his life is because he's been working hard on the basis of your recommendation to fix his relationship with his father. And people are telling me stories like this all the time. And the thing that's sad about it, I think, and this is what makes me emotional, is not only that this is so good and good at a level that transcends politics, absolutely, but that people require so little encouragement. You know, there's so many people I see in my lectures, and I have a very diverse range of people who come to my lectures. They're starving for encouragement, and they don't need much. I had this kid talk to me at a barbecue I was at this weekend, and he's working with delinquent kids, 13 and 14 years old. And he said they were pulled out of other delinquent camps and brought to his camp, which was for the worst delinquents. And he started talking to them about my lectures. And so they've been watching him, and now they have a little fan club that's based around my lectures, and they're doing things like talking to each other about making their beds and cleaning up their rooms. It's like, it's unbelievable how little genuine encouragement many people need, and how they had none. No one ever said to them, and meant it, it's not okay for you to be a weak loser. It's not okay. And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that. And it's a crime, an ethical crime, for you to allow all that necessary potential to go to waste. It hurts you, it hurts your family, it hurts the world. Really, really, it does. And people think, oh, okay, I get it. And they do get it, because they know at some level. The other thing people tell me, you know, they say, well, I've been paying attention to your lectures, developing a vision for my life, trying to tell the truth, trying to adopt more responsibility, and things are way better. But the other story is, you've been able to help me put into words things I always knew to be true, but didn't know how to say, which is a good role for an intellectual to play. And so, well, so that's why this all makes me emotional. It's so good. You know, and so much of this has been covered as if it's political. It's not political, what I'm doing. It's not political. It's something that politics is nested inside. Politics is nested inside the healthy sovereignty of the individual. Now, I'm working to buttress and sustain the healthy sovereignty of the individual, the great idea of the West. So,
is it worth it? Is the pain that you must feel with some of the biting criticism that you witness, hear about yourself, is it worth it?
Oh, absolutely, and absolutely. And, you know, I'm not so naive as to think you can get the good without the bad. you know, I've had discussions with my publicists, say, and the people who are working on my book, and sometimes the discussions are such that, well, maybe a little less controversy would be a good thing. It's like, it's hard to say what's a good thing. You know, and what's happened to me over the past 2 years, fortunately, is that every time I've been attacked, the net outcome has been in my favor. Even though it's very painful in the immediate, well, when it's happening with the mobs of students, for example, or with particularly reprehensible press piece, some of the press pieces, people who were very close to me told me they thought they sunk me. And I mean, I watch people respond to these things, and very frequently now, if someone's mobbed in social media, they apologize. They're done with one episode. You know, and this has probably happened to me 100 times in the last 2 years. So it's very stressful. But I'm kind of detached from it because we'll see how it plays out. You know, and you can't do difficult things without them being difficult. And so I don't feel that it's been, what do we say, how to say it exactly? I'm perfectly satisfied with the way things are going, especially with these lectures, because they're so positive.
So how do you want to be remembered years from now when